Good morning again, everyone, and thank you for joining us. It's Mary Gilroy here at the Amsterdam via Zoom webinar. So glad you could join us.
Pleasure.
Again, we have some residents and staff with us today to share a little bit more from a personal side, what it's like to reside and or work here at the Amsterdam. So we are going to have our resident Ellen with us. She'll begin with us in a moment. Say hi, Ellen.
Hi, Ellen.
Do we have
Hi.
Do we have Sylvia by phone? Do we have Sylvia on the line? We're looking for Sylvia.
Sylvia's not here.
Okay, so hopefully she'll join us shortly. And then Mika is going to be with us, another resident who actually resided in Amsterdam, so Holland, Amsterdam, so Amsterdam to Amsterdam. We have Tracy with us, and we have Anne, and we'll go over their responsibilities here at the Amsterdam. So without further ado, let's get started with Ellen. Thank you so much for joining us, Ellen. And so we'll put everyone else out, Olivia, except for Ellen. And we'd like you to share with us how you came to reside at the Amsterdam and how long you're here and what you enjoy about the lifestyle here, especially during the pandemic. Thank you.
About 5 years or so ago, I met someone who told me about the Amsterdam, said that's the only place she would live in. So I decided one day to come by with my daughter. We passed the concierge, said, we're just looking. And as we walked by, someone named Sylvia, a resident, came and said, what can I help you with? And so I said, well, anything. I'm new here. I'm just visiting. And so she showed us the pool, showed us the gym, showed us the bistro, showed us the dining room, the activities room, everything. Well, a few weeks later, I was in. But since that time, I have seen more plays on Broadway, more plays off Broadway, musical entertainment every Tuesday, happy hour every Thursday. That is until the COVID struck. And since then, we've been getting our food in our rooms. We can have either breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or all of them. They've taken very good care of us. And with that, I must say, I'm very, very happy. Does anyone else want to speak?
So Ellen, we were chatting with Ellen on Zoom yesterday, and a gentleman came to the door that she had called in for a repair to her kitchen sink. And during the few minutes that we were on the line with Ellen, he was camera shy, and he didn't come around behind Ellen so we could see who was in the apartment. He would have been as surprised that we were on with you. But within minutes, your issue was resolved. But what I want to know, like what we talked about yesterday, Ellen, you were quite deliberate in saying before you came to the Amsterdam, you weren't involved in the TA. You really
nothing. I was absolutely involved. But as far as yesterday goes, I was thinking to myself when Trevor came up to fix my garbage disposal, if I were at home, I would have had to call a plumber. A plumber would have taken probably 2-3 days till he came. I would be without my disposal, and he would have charged me, well, astronomical figure. I got that for free yesterday. That was very nice.
And what about some of the, and I guess what you're saying, everything's included. It's a maintenance lifestyle.
Everything.
What types of involved in? You're on the welcome committee. That's the number one reason I wanted to ask you to join us, because you're the face of the Amsterdam on the resident side when somebody's moving in and getting acclimated.
I'm also on the Residents' Council, the Lands and Board or whatever. I'm on quite a few of the councils, and I was never on anything before, ever.
Well, I'm sure you'll chime in again and again as we get into some things.
Yes.
Has Sylvia joined us?
No, Sylvia's not on still.
I don't know why Sylvia hasn't joined us. Well, we're going to skip ahead to Tracy. And Tracy is in charge of all the activities that go on in the Amsterdam, culturally and otherwise, in all different areas of living of the Amsterdam. And we'd love for her to share with us a little bit about her experience and the type and caliber of folks that we have that work here and work here long term. So welcome, Tracy, and she'll share with you her background.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for that welcome, and good morning, everyone. I'm Tracy Warzer, Director of Community Programs at the Amsterdam, and I'm really pleased to join you today to tell you a little bit about myself and why I feel so inspired to do the work that I do here in activity programming. I'm a lifelong resident of the North Shore area, and I'm an artist and a licensed art therapist, and I've been involved in the arts and culture my entire life. I've focused my career working in the arts and community, leading creativity workshops, cultural events, curating art exhibits, and developing artist residency programs through my previous work at Friends of the Arts and Great Neck Art Center, which is now Gold Coast Art Center and Gold Coast Film Festival. So my work at the Art Center gave me the opportunity to oversee their partnership with the Kennedy Center Arts and Education Program. And I was able to work with many top-notch teaching artists, musicians, dancers, educators, lecturers, and authors. And I was able to be part of this process that helped people to connect, young and old, through meaningful cultural arts experiences. And what I loved about this work is that I was always meeting and collaborating with extraordinary artists and performers, and I was learning the value of building these important relationships. So that's why I continue to connect with many of these performers, to bring them to the Amsterdam to share their talents. And in fact, many of our favorite musicians are recording concerts for us right now to stream for our residents. And even Gold Coast Film Festival just curated a series of award-winning films specifically for our community, with a personal introduction by the film festival director, Caroline Sorokroff, who expressed her New Year's greetings to everyone, a real personal approach, which was really unique and wonderful. So during these years of working with the arts and community, I was most inspired by the intergenerational programming that we did, which brought school-age students together with senior citizens. The kids interviewed the seniors, and then they wrote scripts and performed the seniors' life stories for them. It was very exciting, and it was the kind of work that I knew I wanted to also do at the Amsterdam, which we have done. And one of the most remarkable coincidences is that one of the participants in this program was our very own Sylvia from the Amsterdam, who you'll be meeting, I'm sure, and hearing from. And as it turns out, Sylvia also plays a very vital role in our Cultural Arts Committee at the Amsterdam. And it's this committee that became my new partner in the arts. This group of about 18 residents has advised me on how to have a keen eye for the best of the best in cultural engagement. They are well versed on all matters of opera, ballet, choreographers, composers, local performers, and excursions to interesting sites and museums, historical locations, and local theater that they insist is just one step away from Broadway. This committee is a great resource because the members themselves are lifelong culture lovers, and their high standards set the bar for what we bring forth to the community to enjoy. So a lot of thought and discussion goes into the planning for events and entertainment. And in fact, Sylvia herself handpicks the best shows of the season for us at the Tilla Center, which is a concert hall, which is nearby in Brookville on the campus of LIU. And I happen to be an alumnus and former adjunct faculty member at LIU Post. And I'm currently an art therapy internship site supervisor at the Amsterdam. And I'm really proud to have developed the first internship program here, which is a unique affiliation for us as a CCRC. And it's wonderful to have this academic relationship with the university. And graduate student interns are a great asset to our activity programming. In fact, we've hired about 10 out of the 21 students that we've had so far over the last 5 years. And in fact, 2 of those former interns have now worked here for us for 5 and 4 years respectively. So it's wonderful to retain these amazing interns and to have them here working with us, who are now part of our employees. So what I truly love about the work I do at the Amsterdam is to create lots of opportunities for folks to find inspiration and enjoyment in a fabulous concert, a film, a lecture, or a class. And if I still hear them talking about it a week later, I know we're on the upside of that bar. So whether it's the esteemed four-hand classical pianists, the rising opera stars, or 30-piece orchestra, the musicians all say that it's such a pleasure to perform at the Amsterdam because it's all about the residents. They appreciate every note and nuance, and they really know how to have a good time and to live the good life. So it's really such a pleasure, and I feel grateful every day to bring forth these programs at the Amsterdam, both in person, on Zoom. We have an extremely active community, so we're constantly doing new things and inspiring folks because that's how we stay inspired to do the work that we do. So thank you so much for listening.
Oh, thank you, Tracy, so much. And I'm sure people are going to have a lot of questions for you at the end. I did send out a note to everyone that you can go to chat or questions and put in your questions for us. I think we may have Sylvia with us now, but I think, Olivia, you need to unmute her. I believe that's Sylvia's phone number off by heart. I think I know it. Ellen, I think that's her number. So I would unmute Sylvia and Ellen because they might have some interaction there. Sylvia on. I see her here. Maybe she's being.
Oh, here we go.
Yes.
Hello, does anybody hear me?
We
Yep.
do.
Am I on?
You were
You're
on,
on.
Sylvia. Welcome.
I'm on?
Yes.
Okay.
It's
Well, all right, so
Sarah.
I'm the Sylvia.
You're the
I just
Sylvia.
want to say that I came to the Amsterdam 10 years ago when it first opened. I saw an ad in the New York Times maybe a few years before they started actually putting up the building. And I said, wow, what a fabulous place this sounds like. And it said Amsterdam, and I knew the great reputation of the Amsterdam in New York. So I said, well, I'm going to see what's doing. And I made a contact, and I did put down a deposit. And I waited until the building went up, which it did. And I moved in at the end of 2010, and I've been here for 10 wonderful years. And of course, it's like 2 different lives. One is our normal life before all of the pandemic and the business of the COVID-19, which you've heard described by Tracy and by the other people. It is and was and always is a fabulous place to be. But the most amazing thing is when the COVID pandemic came down, it was amazing how just like a quick turn of just like a few minutes, this place turned into a wonderful facility for keeping us healthy and safe. We have a wonderful management here, and they are on top of everything. We have a great health center, and they are also on top of everything. So within a day, they knew what to do. They told us how we were going to operate and keep ourselves safe and healthy. Our meals were brought up to our doors here. We didn't have to go down and be in any environment where we would be catching germs or whatever. And everything was done to service us and take care of us. And if anybody needed emergency care for any reason, they were there. And I have to say that speaking to friends and relatives who are at other senior communities around the country, I would think that the Amsterdam is probably number 1 from the point of view of keeping us healthy and safe and in good condition and, just on top of everything. And we get bulletins all the time to praise us of what is happening. So I have to say it's like a tale of 2 cities. you know, the famous Charles Dickens story, what is life one way and what is life the other way. But we very soon hope to go back to normalcy. The vaccine has already been given to people in our health center. We're waiting for dates to get the vaccine here in the independent living. But everything is being done to support us and keep us in good shape until that time. So I am just ever grateful. There is no way living on my own any other place where I would have survived at all in healthy condition and feeling supported than being at this Amsterdam. So that's one thing I want to say. I would like to say one other thing, too, about this building and about who we are and where we are. They always say that the main thing about real estate, about a purchase of a real estate package that anybody's interested in, it's location, location, location. And the Amsterdam has it on all three shots. We are located in the great North Shore, the Gold Coast. We are adjacent to a fabulous golf course. We're just down the little road here from the North Shore beautiful beach park. We have a beautiful building, which was a Marriott design, like a great Marriott hotel. There is no other CCRC that looks like our building. We have grand spaces and wonderful design and great architecture. When you walk in, people are just breathless to see the beautiful layout that we have in this building. In addition to that, we're close to great shopping when time is ready for shopping again. We do a lot of it online. We do have deliveries here. Everything is taken care of by the concierge, but we have great shopping in the area, restaurants and cultural attractions of all kinds on the North Shore. We also are 30 minutes by train by the North Shore line. We have our own Port Washington train station, 30 minutes into Penn Station. If we ever go in on a trip to Manhattan, we have our beautiful Black Beauty bus. It can take 26 people, and we've done Manhattan shows many, many times. We also have up Northern Boulevard, not far away, at least 1,000 of the best doctors that are here on Long Island. We have two major hospitals within 15 or 20 minutes, North Shore Hospital. We have the great St. Francis Hospital nearby. Absolutely fantastic. So you always feel if you need help, an emergency, everything is close. Meanwhile, you're in a rural setting, beautiful area. If you want to go out to the East End, we're not far from the main highways. You can get out to East Hampton within an hour or two. And we have a wonderful, wonderful area here from the point of view of this little town of Port Washington, unlike any other town on Long Island. It's like a piece of New England. It's small scale, along the water. It has that old world feel. There's no crowds. It's not Manhattan. It's not even Great Neck. It's really an enclave, the most beautiful town around. And in fact, at one time it was said it was one of the best 10 towns in the United States for retirement. So I have that article. I clipped it out. So I have to say, if you're going to come to a senior community, there is no better place than the Amsterdam. It has everything, everything. The greatest people, the greatest location, and the greatest care. Our health center is fantastic, 5-star. We're checked out every year. We come out on top all the time. And the best employees. They're loyal. They stay with us. They don't flit around from place to place. Many times, people with this pandemic particularly were becoming ill in senior communities because their employees were going from place to place with different jobs, an hour here, an hour there. We don't have that. Our people stay here and they work here. And we check our employees at least twice a week to make sure everybody is healthy. So all I have to say is, this is it. And if you want to use an airline, we're at least, I would say 30 minutes from LaGuardia Airport and from Kennedy Airport. So you have the rural and you have the metropolitan, you have transportation, you have a golf course, you have the water, and you have this great place with the great people. And so therefore, I say it's wrapped up with a blue ribbon.
Sylvia, thank you so much. I just wanted you to share just a second or two about yourself and your background, musicality-wise.
Well, yeah, I'm a New York City girl. I grew up in Brooklyn and spent the better part of my life in Queens. I went to Queens College. I have 3 degrees in Queens College. I was an educator, worked with the New York City public school system. I was a music teacher. I've been involved in music and the arts all of my life. I was the chairman of the New York City Music Teacher Association for about 15 years. And I've just, the arts and the wonderful cultural aspects of New York have always been delightful for me. I was so happy when Tracy came and joined our staff, because I had met her earlier in the years in the Great Neck. She was a superb person, and there she turns up at the Amsterdam. I said, how lucky can we be? So it's we have really a great show going here, and we'll be back to normal very soon. As soon as this vaccine is distributed, which we expect to be within shortly, I mean, maybe a month or 2 or 3 or whatever, we'll be back to normal. But even under these conditions, everything here is moving along. And we do have people moving in, even under these conditions, they're moving in. They're being taken care of. Their food is being taken care of. If you need shopping, we have what you call the Harborside Essentials. Every week you can fill out a list of these particular items. You may need bread and eggs and milk and juice and snacks and things of that, paper goods. We order it for you, and they deliver it right to your apartment, so that the major things that you need for every day is here. We can order breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and things are delivered to our apartment. You don't have to go down if you don't want to. Of course, right now we're separating and keeping everybody safe in their apartments. But when things are, back to normal, you can either have your food upstairs, or you can eat in our great dining room or our bistro. We have lovely areas around. We have a beautiful north patio. We can sit out in the sun and interact with some wonderful people. If you play bridge, we have the greatest number of bridge players. Right now we're not playing bridge, but when bridge is here, my God,
Well, online they are.
that card room is busy all the time. So
Online, they're definitely playing those that wanted to. I'm gonna stop you there, although all of us would want to listen to you all day long, Sylvia.
Okay, I'm going to stop.
You have me sold on the Amsterdam. Please stay with us if you can, because the best part's to come. But I want to, I see Nika's coming on, wonderful, but I'm going to skip to Anne, and Anne is a dining manager, and I want to skip right to Anne because I don't want lunch to be late for everyone.
Right?
I will be in really big trouble. She manages a big team. She's got the kitchen and the dining room and the bistro and the runners going with food that is ordered directly, delivered directly to the door. So without further ado, we'd like to introduce Anne. She'll share a little bit about her wonderful background.
Hi, so as you know me, I'm the French lady on the block who just arrived at the Amsterdam about a year ago. So as you see, my French accent is still there even after 20 years in the US. I don't think I'm going to get rid of it. It's the way it is. So I'm from a background of international business at the beginning. And then I ended up to meet my husband, who was a private chef. And I love food, I love wine, and I love people. And so it was the perfect combination to work with him. So for a couple of years, we worked for private people on yachts, private villa, high standards, very, very, very high standard. And even with these people, there's always something in common, which is food and hospitality. So no matter what, where you come from, for me, food brings people together. It's the important part of your day, it's to eat. And then after being in the private area for a couple of years, when I moved in Washington, DC, found a French restaurant, which I managed for the past 18 years over there. And it was just behind the Capitol building. So I found the perfect place for me to be with the food, with the wine, and a lot of people from congressmen, senators, judges. And the best reward I had all these years, they were saying that when they were coming at the restaurant, they feel like they were home. And because everybody was treated the same way. And I love people. So I love to interact with people, not just taking an order and thank you very much. So when I applied to work at the Amsterdam, first I wanted to get something a little bit, I thought was going to be a little bit more quiet, which is not, because it's a lot of residents, it's a lot of people to take care of. But what put me in that situation and wanted to do is because I love the family aspect of being with the residents every day. And I think over here, it's really a wonderful area. People know each other. You call them by their first name. It's really something that you create every day. And so I've been in a dining room for only 2 months before we closed because of the COVID. And yes, I found a challenge on how we're going to make it happen every day. And we're going to deliver food and we're going to deliver service. But it is challenging every day. But that's the great part. And what I'm trying to say to the staff is no matter what, we have to make these people, that's your home, that's their home, and we are here to make them their life happy and as easy as possible. So everything they're gonna ask for me mostly is gonna be a yes, because I'm gonna go far and beyond to help these residents to get what they want. So so far I'm pleased. I can wait to have this dining room reopen, to see people again. But love it. And Sylvia sold the place and she's absolutely wonderful. Ellen, thank you very much, because you're happy every day. And that's really a plus when we see you in the hallway and we talk, and that's great. Love it. I'm sold.
Thank you so much, Anne.
Sure.
You know, we don't want to keep you. We appreciate your time so much, sharing your background, because people want to get to know the staff here. We want to get to know their stories. They want to get to know our stories. So nice.
And I'm always happy to talk about it. Just when people ask me questions, like I said, there's no gray area in my life. So I'm always happy to share my life stories, my stories about here, about Washington, D.C., with senator, congressman, judges. I even saw one time a few presidents, and I was shaking, but I was just, there was people like you and me. So there's no difference when you are who you are. And even like I said to the staff, I say, you don't need to have a restaurant experience. It's just first the person you are. If you pay attention to details, and if you like people, and if you like food, then you already have all the details to work in a restaurant. You don't need to know how to open a bottle of wines to get all about the food, but you have to first love people, love food, and be detailed oriented, and that's going to be great. And I love that buffet with all this dessert. I want to go there. I want to go back there.
I like your recipe for success. And Ann and I were setting up a webinar, and I'm like, Ann, you can take your goggles off, you can take your mask off, you can take all the garb off. So obviously dining services and everyone, but especially the folks in dining, et cetera, taking extreme precautions for our residents. So I'm sure it was a nice break to have the mask and the goggles off in the privacy.
I can sleep and live with that mask and these goggles now, because I don't need to pay attention. When I'm home on weekends, I feel like naked kind of things. I say, where is the mask? But yes, we are very, very careful and strict on being safe for us, but also for the residents. And so far, everybody understands what is important to wear your mask, gloves, and that's why we stay safe also, and compared to other area, other residences where they got very a lot of people getting sick with COVID. I think we did a wonderful job to manage to be out of that range compared
Yeah,
to
I'm
our
definitely
residents.
going to go over that, and that's some of the questions that are coming in. So again, Anne, thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely.
If you need to leave, you can just, wonderful if you can stay with us for another while, but I understand if you have to leave, bottom right, you can just leave. But we do have Mika with us, and do we have Mika via video as well?
I don't know. I'm here.
We hear you. Hi, Mika.
Oh, you hear me?
We
But
hear
I don't
you.
get-
Welcome.
I don't
Mika
get-
is one of our residents. And she was going to share with us how she came to be at the Amsterdam.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, that was actually very simple. I really had no intentions of coming to the Amsterdam. I was happy in my home. And
That's Mika the pool shark in the there. That is her. And this isn't a staged photo. She's a pool shark. Sorry, Mika, we're looking at a picture of you at the pool table with Laura. So
I see that. I can't see my own picture,
okay.
but I see that one. But I had a good friend who wanted to come to the Amsterdam, and so he said to me, "Do you want to come? I'm going to a meeting. I'm going to inquire about the Amsterdam, and you want to come?" And I said, "All right, I'll go anywhere for a cup of coffee, free lunch, whatever." So I went along with him. Every time he had a meeting, I would go, and I would just sit there twiddling my fingers. And then finally, I started to listen. And I said, wow, this is really interesting. I had been living alone for 20 years. My husband had died, and the kids were off to college, and I was home alone and having a good time, fine. But then when I started to listen what the Amsterdam had to offer, all the good things, and I thought, wow, this is really good. And so then I really started paying attention. And I decided this is where I wanted to be, and put my house up for sale, cleaned out the house, and I got an apartment. I had no idea where it was. I'd never lived in an apartment, so I didn't even know what to look for. So they gave me an apartment on the second floor, and said, okay, fine. So the only
And this is, you committed, Mika, before the building was built, I believe you told me.
That's correct.
I'm here, I'm
Part of
10
it,
years, and you're here longer than me.
right. I was here. I bought the apartment before it was finished. There were other apartments that were finished, but mine was not. But they put me on the second floor. Said all I want is eastern exposure. That's all I want. So then they put me on the second floor, and my friend was on the third floor. And I said, you know, this is going to be complicated every night when we want to meet for dinner. We meet on the second floor, meeting on the third floor. So then I said to the people from the real estate, can you get me on the third floor? And they said, okay, let's see what we can do. Well, within a month, they said, yeah, we got you on the third floor. I said, okay. And so here I am, and still on the third floor, 1-bedroom apartment, but it's got everything I need. I brought all my chest and drawers with me, which was a good thing.
We've actually done tour of homes where where residents open up homes around the holidays. Unfortunately, this is the first year, this past December, we were unable to do it due to COVID, but Mika has opened up her apartment home, and let residents or potential residents traipse through and see how she has it all set up. And it's just lovely. It's very homey, and she has all her things from home. And we were talking about that recently. Besides being a pool shark, very often in the past when I'd be working late and going home late, Mika would be in the billiards room with other folks that enjoy billiards as well, and some adult children that come in. You know, I think it was like a weekly thing you had set up.
Well, we have a three nights.
Enjoy. I'm sorry.
3 nights a week is when we play pool.
3 nights a week. And line dancing was something that she did with another group, which is not being held at this time, but that'll restart sometime in the near future. That'll be all worked out.
I hope we can get enough people. We need young
Oh.
people to come in here so we can do the line dancing.
And that's a great group, and you've seen me many times come in when I'm touring folks around in the middle of the class, and really, you guys really learned a lot and could really go out and perform somewhere for people. Really, it was very good. So
we did go to Tuttle Center. We used to go a few times a year.
yeah, which
And
hopefully we can get back to that.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mika. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you, Sylvia. Stay with us if you can. I'm just going to get to some of the questions here. Someone had made a comment, maybe one of the residents, or maybe Ann or Tracy, regarding the vaccine, just to give everyone visiting us with us today some clarity. All of our skilled nursing, rehab has been inoculated twice as of, this was Tuesday, and staff has received the vaccines. That started 3 weeks ago. We had the Pfizer shot, so it's three weeks after, which was this past Tuesday, this Tuesday, we received our second shot. Today, assisted living is receiving the same vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine, and then 3 weeks from now, on the 4th of February, they will receive their second dose, as well as memory support. So all of the health center, in essence, is under control, and all of the staff, as far as with the vaccines. There are some residents that have been reaching out very unsuccessfully, as many of you have probably encountered. It's very difficult to get on a list, to get on a line, but our residents will, I promise them, and Ellen was asking earlier when we met, you know, when are we getting the vaccine? I mean, of course, that's the question to everyone, but of course, understandably not under our control. And the answer is that we feel will be very shortly after the 4th of February when they complete, it might be the, 2 days after or the Tuesday after or what have you, they will start inoculating the independent residents. So you will find that they will receive it before their friends and family, outside in the community at large. So that was a question. Question regarding COVID cases in independent living. Bear with me a moment to pull up it's asking, has there been any? Well, it would be a complete and total miracle. I wouldn't know of any place on earth that would have as many people, never mind seniors. So we have, call it 240 residents in independent living, another 100 or a little less in all of healthcare, and then a couple hundred staff members. And then you have family members, and you have other people coming and going. We, of course, as everyone has said here to you, have put all sorts of precautions in place, and we have done extremely well. There has been very few cases statistically. All of the information regarding how we've done since, March of 2020 is all on our website, homepage, COVID button, and we put all our updates there as well. So I think I'll refer you to that rather than getting into any varied specifics, but we have done very well, and you're more than welcome to ask any of the residents here or that you will meet as you hopefully come to visit us. And just on that note, we are open 100% for visitation. If you're not comfortable with that, we encourage that's the best way to go, but if you're not comfortable, we can work it out virtually. We can do a hybrid, part virtual, part in person, and we would go over individually when we follow up with you after the webinar of how and what you need to do to visit. But very easy, and everything has gone well with that. We started touring maybe the end of April, beginning of May, and have not stopped since then. We did shut down initially so that we would have everything in order and have all precautions in place. We've also had one in-person event which was completely different, as Anne was saying, and everyone's saying here, our whole lives are different. People were coming in our back door rather than our front door. Everything was backwards, but we took our time. We kept it small. It was one of the most wonderful events we ever had because it was personal. We could really spend time with people. So we'll get back to that soon, or we'll be doing hybrid events. We have James Cole coming, who's someone who visits the residents either virtually or in person, and you'll have that option. We're going to have some musical entertainment performers, so that'll all be coming up in the next couple months. And now we're being asked, are the residents quarantined now, or are they able to leave the facility? So first thing I always say to anyone I meet, that's the worst F word in the whole dictionary. We are a community. So are there any residents quarantined now? Are they able to leave our community? Residents are free to come and go as they wish. This is independent living. However, as things, it's been a whirlwind for everyone. As things tick up, then we take a step back. We have different phases, just like the government did. So during the course of this almost year, there have been times where we've had to go back and go back to maybe having the dining room closed, not having in-person exercise classes, just on Zoom or on our channel 591, our in-house TV channel. So the answer is people can come and go as they wish, with checking in at the concierge. There's only 2 ways in and out of the community. Anyone visiting gets their temperature checked. If you're a resident and have a visitor coming in. So there are some rules which has kept the community successfully very healthy.
A COVID test as well.
And yes, I mentioned earlier that we are, I think Sylvia mentioned that staff is COVID tested twice
a week.
And now we've, all that have had the vaccine and whatnot. Let's have some other questions. Let's see. Oh, someone was asking if we would ask about the different levels of care. While I'm answering that, if anyone has any questions, it's boring listening to me. You can speak to me anytime. We've got staff here and wonderful residents. So if you have anything specific to the residents or to the staff, please submit your questions. But someone asked about levels of care. So yeah, this was just kind of a loose meeting to, in a friendly way, meet some residents, meet some staff. We are hosting probably the end of February, beginning of March, what's called Life Plan 101, which will be a more serious event where we educate you with a PowerPoint on all how the community works, all the different levels of care, and what's included in the lifestyle and so forth, all the technicalities. But in general, one starts out in independent living, and then we have assisted living, we have a memory support neighborhood, we have rehab, we have long-term skilled nursing, and we even have hospice. So we have everything here in essence, with the exception of the hospital. So the only reason for the most part someone would not be here would be if they had a hospitalization. And when that occurs, then we're working with the social worker at the hospital for your discharge back home to the Amsterdam. So it works out very, very well. I had a social worker on the phone this morning who is looking for her in-laws and understands the whole process and wants a community like this that has all the different levels of care so they can age in place. Any other questions? Oh, someone is asking Sylvia. Sylvia, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
They're asking about your favorite shows that you've seen at Tillis Center.
Well, at Tillis Center, we have seen all of the great orchestras of the world. We've had, of course, the New York Philharmonic has been there. It's sort of like an offshoot of Carnegie Hall. The programs of the great orchestras that come to Carnegie Hall also come to the Tillis Center when the programs are running. I mean, not during this particular year, but at any other time. We've had the greatest orchestras from England, from Germany, from France, from Vienna. We've had groups from Switzerland. We've had groups from from Greece. We've had groups from Israel. We've had groups from South America and from across the country. You know, the great Cleveland Orchestra and the Los Angeles Orchestra. We've had some really great groups. That's the orchestra group that they have, the great orchestras of the world. And in addition to that, they also have concerts of various musicians where they do it in smaller groups. And they also have at the Utillis Center some of the great Broadway musicals. So we saw Chorus Line there. We saw a number of other great shows from Broadway. And we also go to the Northport Theater, which is an Actors Equity Theater. So we get the great shows, the road companies of the great shows. I also want to mention that we were one of the first groups to see Hamilton on Broadway. We saw the reviews of Hamilton when it was still at the Public Theater, and it was still in formation, as one might say. That was in February of the year before anybody knew about it. We read about it in the New York Times and the great reviews it got at the Public Theater. So we said to Tracy at the time, contact our Broadway person who gets us the tickets and tell them whenever Hamilton comes to Broadway, whenever it is, get us 15 tickets, because that's the group amount that you could get, 15. Well, we put in our bid, and that's it. We waited, and I think the second or third week that it was on Broadway, we were right there, right in front, right there in the orchestra, front seats. I think we paid $109 per ticket at the time, and we had 15 great seats, and we saw Hamilton, and we loved it. And we've been to many other Broadway shows since then, of course. You named the show, we've been there.
That was in August of 2015.
Okay, there you go.
And it was the end of the year into the holiday season and into the beginning of 2016 that people were paying thousands of dollars to see Hamilton. And
that's right.
So it was so cool that the Amsterdam's residents saw Hamilton. We saw To Kill a Mockingbird January 23rd, 2020.
That's right.
Pleasure of going with the residents, and it was a lot of fun. We did some trivia on the way in and way out, and it's one of the last shows, unfortunately, we got to see, but we'll be back there again.
When we went to the shows, we also had lunch. In other words, our bus, our big, beautiful Black Beauty bus, we call it the Black Beauty because it's a big black bus, takes us in early, and we have lunch close to the theater. And from there, we go to the theater, and then the bus brings us home. So we have door to door. We don't have to do any more walking than get in and out of the bus. And
Wonderful.
That's it. It's the greatest.
I have another question here. Thank you, Sylvia. What is the ratio of couples to single residents? So in just speaking about independent living currently we have about 45 couples.
Yeah, around 40. Yeah, around 40, around that number. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm answering the question here. 45 couples. And if we have 240, then, you know, the balance is, that would be 90. So we have, you know, a pretty good ratio. Some folks feel, you know, they don't want to come because there isn't couples. There are couples. People want to know our percentage of men. It's hovering around 28, 29%. That's including single men and married men. You know, there's people from a little diversity here culturally. It's a pretty good mix. It's a pretty good representation of what is around us here. I have another question. Bear with me. Or maybe a statement. Hold on. Okay. So Stephanie is saying that I guess it went to all of you. Tracy was so inspiring. The program sounded amazing. Thank you so much, Tracy, for sharing. I guess folks all saw that. And thank you, Stephanie. And yeah, we'd love to meet your mom, and I think that she would do very well here. We have a lot of folks from Boynton Beach here. We have at least 3-4 couples that initiated here, all sort of around the same time a couple of years ago, because they all knew each other. They were from here like Throgs Neck area, Whitestone area, Queens area, and had a place in the same community in Boynton Beach. So once one couple came, then others followed because they, spoke and heard about it. So that picture that Olivia is showing right now is just an overview, fairly new photo of a drone photo, and you could see close proximity to Hempstead Bay, which to the left then leads into Long Island Sound. We're 4/10 of a mile from the water, which is just, as Sylvia always says, just, great location. Are there any other questions? We've answered them all for you. But we'd love for you to, let me see, I have one on my phone. Okay, just someone thanking us. I just want to thank all of you. We'll be in touch. We want to see you in person safely. We'll keep you posted on things that we're doing. I want to thank Sylvia and Ellen and Mika so much for joining us and being part of the program, and Anne and Tracy taking time out of your busy working days. Not that the residents aren't busy too. Hope I'm not in trouble with the kitchen for stealing Anne all this time, and Tracy, because she's very involved in the Zoom programs and facilitating things. But the residents are very independent and active, and we hope we've shared that with you today. So hope to see you again soon. And you can certainly send us any questions after the program as well. So
Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Sarah.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye, Mrs.
Bye-bye.
Dunsky.
She's not going to be camera shy next time.